Hi everyone, Anthony Morganti here. I've been receiving this question a lot, so I thought I'd do a video on it. That is, how to have access to both the current version of Photoshop and the beta version of Photoshop from within Lightroom. By default, you'll have access to one, but not the other. But it's very easy to set up access for both. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the beta version of Photoshop, stay to the end. I'll explain what it is and how to download it. Now, the first thing you need to do to have access to both the beta version and the current version of Photoshop is to install both of them on your computer. Once they're both installed on your computer, open up Lightroom Classic and go to Lightroom Classic Preferences. On a Mac, that is under the Lightroom Classic menu. On a PC, it's under the Edit menu. Once you open Preferences, go to the third tab from the left, External Editing. See this top part? These are the settings that Lightroom uses when it sends an image from Lightroom Classic to Photoshop. What we need to do is go here and change this drop-down to Adobe Photoshop Beta. Then, in this middle part, Additional External Editor, what we're going to do is we're going to add the current version of Photoshop here. Now, you may be wondering, why can't you just have the regular version of Photoshop at the top and add the beta version down here? Well, we can't because it doesn't work, and I'm not sure why it doesn't work, but it just doesn't work. For it to work, you have to have the beta version up here at the top, and then down here we're going to add the current version. And to do that, what you need to do is just ignore whatever it says right now. For me, it's saying Analog Effects Pro 3. That's a plugin I have. You can see I have a lot of plugins. For you, it probably says something different. You just need to ignore whatever it says, and then go over here and click on Clear. And don't worry, you're not messing up that external editor that is, for me, Analog Effects Pro 3. I'm not ruining that. I'm not messing that up. Just hit Clear. Then what you need to do is click on Choose, and then a Mac Finder window will open up, or a Windows Explorer window will open up. And what you need to do is navigate to the folder. It should automatically be in that folder that has all your applications in it. Of course, on a Mac, the applications are .app. On a Windows computer, it's .exe. And what you need to do is find the application for the current version of Photoshop. So I'll just scroll down, and I have Adobe Photoshop 2023 right here in the actual app, .app for my Mac. Again, for a Windows computer, it's .exe, is Adobe Photoshop 2023.app. Just click Choose. All right, now what you need to do is go to this part here and just match whatever is down here with what is up here. So up here, file format is TIFF. Yours may say PSD. It really doesn't matter. You could use TIFF or PSD. You could use JPEG if you want, but I recommend you don't. I like using TIFF. They seem to work a little faster than PSD files. So I go there. Color space, I want it to be the ProPhoto RGB. So we'll go to that. And 16 bits per component, resolution 300, compression none. All right, so those are the settings for the current version of Photoshop, and I have it listed right here. Now what we need to do is give it a preset name. To do that, go to this top drop-down, go down to Save Current Settings as New Preset, and then give it a name, and just give it the name that you probably should, is Adobe Photoshop 2023. And click Create. All right, now you see we have that preset there. It's in the drop-down. Now you could close down Preferences. Now, when you want to send an image to Adobe Photoshop Beta, what you could do is right-click on the image, go to Edit In, and then right at the top is Adobe Photoshop Beta. Then, if you want to send it to the current version of Photoshop, right-click on it, go down to Edit In, and then go down. You can see it's right here, but you could go down to the Adobe Photoshop Beta, or Adobe Photoshop 2023, I'm sorry. So just go and you have them both here and they'll both work. I'm not going to do it. It just takes time for Photoshop to open and everything, but they will both work. And now again, if you have Adobe Photoshop in that top part and try to make a preset for the beta version down here, it won't work. For some reason, it just doesn't work. So you have to do it this way. And then once you do that, you'll be ready to go. Now, why some people want to do that is they want to use the beta version for generative fill and for some other generative expand, or, where you could add to the canvas and stuff like that. But maybe there's something else they do in Photoshop where the beta version's a little buggy, so they need to use the current version of Photoshop for other things. So they have access to both that way. So that's why you may want access to both. Now, if you don't know anything about the beta version of Photoshop, if you are an Adobe Creative Cloud subscriber, you have access to the beta version of Photoshop and some beta version of other apps as well. To get to them and to download them, you need to open the Creative Cloud app. Once you open the Creative Cloud app, go to Apps. Then on this left-hand side, go down to Beta Apps. And then at Beta Apps, you can see I have the beta version of Photoshop installed. I have the beta version of Bridge installed, and there's some others there as well. If I wanted to, say, download the beta version of Premiere Pro, I could click Install and install it. And when you do, it'll be up here. So that's how you could download the beta version of Photoshop and the beta version of other apps as well. And, you know, they could be buggy. They could run a little slow. They could do a lot of odd things because they are beta versions of the apps, meaning they're not fully tested yet and debugged yet. But they do have features that the current version doesn't have. Specifically with Photoshop are those generative features that a lot of people are using. So that is how you have access to the beta version of Photoshop and how you have access to both the beta version of Photoshop and the current version of Photoshop from within Lightroom Classic. Thank you everyone who watches my videos. Really do appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.